Okay, we have here David Campbell, who is playing the lead role in Dream Lover, the Bobby Darin musical.
That's right.
And we've got also Sandra D, or playing Sandra D
Hannah
in the musical.
Fredrickson.
Yes. And what I want to ask you is, what do you love about the Bobby Darin story?
Bobby was a huge star, a really massive star in his day. He did so much. He was diverse. He did rock and roll. He did swing music. He did folk music. He was politically very active. He had a very complicated. Well, they both had very complicated upbringings, different journeys they had to go on that were, I think, would break a lot of people, but they got through it. But for Bobby himself, he had a death sentence from a young age. He had a rheumatic fever which affected his heart.
Sure.
So he was told he was going to die young.
Wow.
So he had to pack a lot into his life. So he just kept getting more successful and then started challenging himself. So he had a real rogue quality to him as well. He was a real little bit of a rebel, which I quite like.
Right. What can the audience expect from the show?
To be surprised, I think. To be surprised by how many of the Bobby Darin songs they actually know and know all of the words to, that they might associate with perhaps being a Frank Sinatra song or somebody else from that era, but it is in fact Bobby Darin.
Sure.
And also they'll be really surprised by both Bobby and Sandra's stories, I think. There's so much stuff once you start reading that you just didn't see that was, in the public eye. And yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting.
I'm one of those. I know the songs, but I didn't know it was Bobby Darin.
That's right.
Exactly.
So I'm excited about the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think people, we think of Splish Splash or Mac the Knife, or all of those songs that he covered, were just all wrote. It's an incredible body of work for such a short period of time.
Sure.
There's very few performers and artists that do that.
Right. And what attracted you to the show?
I've always been a fan of Bobby's since the 90s. I had a very complicated upbringing, is very well documented, but I was brought up thinking my grandmother was my mother and that my mother was my sister, and didn't know who my father was. Now, Bobby never found out who his father was, and didn't find it. And so when you have that, and you're a performer, and you like swing music, and you like rock and roll, when you find that somebody like Bobby had that experience, I sort of really latched onto him from a young age.
Right.
In my 20s anyway. And so that really resonated with me. So I've always been very passionate about championing Bobby Darin and his legacy.
Right. You sound like a really great fit for the...
I'm a real nerd. I'm a Bobby
He's a
Darin
Bobby
nerd.
Darin.
Yeah, I'm a nerd.
And what do you love about the 1960s that appeals to us today?
I think it's a lot of things. Like, it's the music, it's the dress sense. I mean, it's going to be a very glamorous show.
It's going to be it's Hollywood. It's 1950s and 60s Hollywood. So, and with the creative team that we have, the
Tim
set
Chappell.
and the costumes are just going to be
Out of this world.
exquisite. And they were both really sharp dresses. So I'm very excited that I get to have her hair and clothes and everything. I think it'll be a real, it'll be a trip down memory lane for some people, and for other people who weren't around in that era, they'll be really transported to that time with the music and the visuals.
Wow.
It'll be.
How exciting is it to have the world premiere here in Sydney?
It's huge.
It's massive.
Incredible.
It's great for the country. It's great for arts in this country.
Yeah.
It's really great that Destination New South Wales and Frosty have gotten together to do this. It's important. It's really important. We're punching above our weight here in Australia. We have some of the best creatives in the world, and most of them are doing this show, thankfully, which I'm very thrilled about.
Wow. And last of all, what's your favourite Bobby Darin song?
I like More than the greatest love the world has known. It's a great song.
Beautiful.
Beyond the
And
Sea.
you?
For me.
Beyond the Sea.
That was the first one of his that I heard. My parents used to play that when I was growing up, so that for me, it feels like the sea to listen to. I like it.
Fantastic. I'll say thank you.
No worries, later.